Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Our league. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, don't roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves up.
Here we go. What up, world? Sorry, it's Fish and Frank here, doing the show alone, trying to do all the setup here in the background, and unfortunately, I just kind of messed up that intro, so bear with me on that. Rasta's out doing some family things today, so I'll be here trying to, go through the show with you guys and see what we got, man. I hope everybody had a good week. You went through some... your waiver wires right now, Tuesday, and here we are Wednesday. Hopefully everybody's getting ready for the week. So tonight we got a show rundown. We're doing a buy low, sell high roster management show. We're doing the Thursday night football sit start, some injury news and notes updates. I'm doing my top 3 targets where we're looking to buy and sell, and some live Q&A in the chat here. We already got some guys here. We got Sports Spotlight here saying hi. We got Ryan Kennedy already has a question here coming up, so I'll get to you at the live Q&A section. Don't worry, keep dropping your questions. I'll try to answer as many as I can and give you guys my advice on this situation here. Like I said, it's just me tonight, so let's roll with it. And Smoke of the Cat's back. He's saying, what's up, guys? I've been MIA. Question on Trader Moss and Pitts, so we're going to get to that one also right now. Good seeing Smoke of the Cat. Albert's here in the house. What's up, man? So yeah, I'm gonna start marking these guys and trying to start all the questions we have so I get to the live Q&A section. Not too much to read off today. I do just want to go over some of the things though. For those of you guys new to our show, today is Wednesday and we do our buy low, sell high roster management type things. We also do some trade philosophy things and like that, but since I'm rolling solo tonight, I'm just gonna, kind of keep it short, and kind of run through the show with a different aspect of it. Mondays we normally do the overreaction on Mondays, so we recap the week and do the top waiver wire ads of the week. On Tuesdays, Tycoon's here hosting the fantasy boardroom. We got tonight is Wednesday. We're doing the roster management and trade shows. Thursdays we do Phil Ruskin doing the host the extra point leading up to Thursday night football. On Fridays we got 2 shows for you guys from 6 and 8 p.m. Part 1 and Part 2 must sit starts of the week. So you got to go and check out those shows. So if you they do cover all the games of the weekend coming up. On Sunday morning we always have Mike holding it down, Classic Mike, doing it 8 a.m. Pacific time, and doing the active inactive sit start Q&A and casual DFS lineup. And we also got guys like Kendall with the Fantasy Football Tavern and the Sweet Life with Pod with Jack and Cody, who don't do live shows, but they do drop videos on our channels weekly. So, please do like and subscribe. Remember to turn on notifications, so reminders, so you can get all the information we got. Check out the descriptions. The links are always in the description here to subscribe to Get Right Network affiliate direct channels that are in the description. So also, if you want your question to be read right away, do hit up that super chat. We do have those available now. So I'll stop what I'm doing make sure I take as much time as possible to give you the best answer possible. So we appreciate that support here coming into the channel. It's kind of something new for us, and we do want to mention it and let you guys know that that's something that we have available for you. So obviously we're trying to do some live Q&A. I know you guys got some questions here, but it's time to roll some sleeves up. Let's get to work here. It's teams on bye this week are week 5 are Detroit, LA, Chargers, Philadelphia, and Tennessee. So, if you got some, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown that would be starting for you, I got Jalen Hurts that's on the bench this week. Guys like that, you're going to need some replacements. So it's time to start looking at, ahead of your schedule here. So if you got a guy that's going to be on bye next week, you might want to beat the waiver wire this week so that you're not stuck trying to like bid on a guy if you got some, waiver bids or, see where you're at in the waiver order or whatever. This way you can get that out of the way and not, basically be hoping and praying that you get the guy that you need for the week. So yeah, keep that in mind while these bye weeks have started. And I did go and out and get somebody because I did have Hurts out, so I did go plan. And albeit he may not even play in this week, Aaron Rodgers, but I think he will. He does have some bruising and things like that. I think he's just an old guy and needs a rest day here. So Thursday night football. Here's the sit start on that. We're looking at Buccaneers at 3-1, and the Falcons are 2-2. The Falcons are under 1.5 points. The over/under is 44 on that. No major injuries to basically discuss, at least not in my notes. So, we'll keep on moving it that way. Some players that we want to discuss is White over there. He's had 41 attempts at 115 yards and 0 TDs, while Bucky Irving has 35 attempts, 203 yards, and 1 TD. White's been quite of a disappointment compared to last year, what he was producing. And I know that, having Bucky Irving there is kind of eating at him. And people are taking, looks at Bucky Irving more over White. And who knows how long he keeps his job. But, something to look at. I think I would start Irving over him. But if you have to continue to start White, it's not a bad choice at this time. Their defenses are pretty much ranked close to each other as far as 18th and 19th. 18th for Buccaneers, 19th for Falcons. As far as the defensive rankings, their offensive for Buccaneers is 16th ranked and Falcons are 19th ranked. So, let's see what we can get out of these two teams. Hopefully, it's been a pretty decent lineups on Thursdays. This year, we've been lucky so far, except for that one dud we had last year. It was a doubleheader actually on a Monday night. I'm sorry. That was a pretty dud game, but pretty much all pretty good games. Right now, we got Tyler Algier also on the coming up. He's got 27 attempts for 166 yards. You got to basically keep starting that guy. Tight end Pitts, he's just not a start. You got to sit that guy, trade him, get rid of him. Kyle Pitts has been a disappointment. People fell for him like 3-4 years in a row now. It's time to move on from that guy. I've never was into that guy, and I'm just lucky that I would not have him. Jay Will's got a question here, so don't worry, Jay Will. We'll get you in the live Q&A section once I get through all the reads, which isn't too much. So bear with me here a little bit. I'll get to your stuff, and the guys in the chat will get start some discussion as well. We're looking at Darnell Mooney, a guy I'm really high on. I really like to get him started up. He's got 15 catches so far, 225 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he's getting some looks. I know that he's going to be more and more involved in the offense. So definitely somebody you want to be targeting. If you do have him, I'd be starting him in this weekend. So take a look at that. Who else do we got here? Must starts are basically Baker Mayfield, Evans and Godwin. Definitely got to start those guys. Bijan Robinson, it's definitely got to start him. And Drake London has been producing pretty solid, steady Eddie numbers. You might consider sitting Kirk Cousins, but with this bye week, I'm not so sure. Again, the offenses and defenses are not that, so terrible. But he just hasn't been looking good. So, if you have other options, you may want to look at those other options at that point. Let's see who else we got here. We got Sorry, I got to do some maintenance here on my side. I'm keeping track of some other items here. Um, so, at this point, we're going to move over to some injury news and topics that we're talking about. Obviously, the big news is that Devontae Adams has requested a trade from the Raiders, and the Raiders are opening to trade him. A lot of teams are looking to get him. I know Jay Will has a question about him right now, so we'll get to that in a second. Obviously, we want to bring that up because that's the biggest news that's going on right now. Like literally every fantasy show's talking about this. One of the recent trade rumors I heard is maybe him joining up with Aaron Rodgers again over there with the Jets. And if he does that, who knows what would happen? And and that's one of the guys that we have most traded right now is Garrett Wilson because he's being affected by this whole situation. So I'll get to that in a second. Some quick injury reads though. Ricky Pearsall not having practice window open. I have a couple shares of that guy. He's deeper league stuff, but Ricky Pearsall, he's the guy that got shot there in the city, and basically I thought he was going to start being able to practice, but that didn't happen. Tank Dill has a chest injury still, officially limited practice on Wednesday. Joe Mixon with his ankle, officially non-participant Wednesday, so that doesn't look good for Joe, so he may miss. Again, I mentioned Aaron Rodgers' knee officially limited Wednesday, but I think he should be go. Travis Etienne Jr., shoulder, limited practice as well. Tank Bisbee, shoulder, limited in practice as well. And lastly, David Njoku, also limited in practice on Wednesday. But, the guys here on Friday will definitely know more, but by then we'll know whether they're practicing or not, and we'll have a better understanding of whether they're going to start the week or not. So, we got to keep an eye on that. And so we know at this time, I just want to, give it out to Underdog Fantasy, our sponsor for the video here today. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to practice and play some easy fantasy, play fantasy sports. We love doing the best ball during the preseason here, so we get a lot of the best ball tournaments live stream here all season, off season. So it's simple. You just draft the team. You don't have to do no waiver wires, no trades, no weekly lineup setting. You just set it and forget it, and hopefully you win some money if you pick a good team. We were gotten quite a bit, a few high dollar drafts in there, $25 drafts. So hopefully you get a shot at the $1 million. But right now during the in season, you get to enjoy the pick'em contest where you simply pick higher or lower on player stats like total yards and touchdowns, and you kind of stack them up, and there's good choices. There's always a freebie once a week that we have available. So go sign up, use the promo code GETRIGHT, and then you receive a 50% deposit match, now up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So go check out Underdog Fantasy. You go to underdogfantasy.com or wherever you download your apps on your phone, and what you have available right there, right? So let's get into it. I know that people were getting in here. Nino Pena saying, "What's up, my guy? What's up, man?" So he does have a question. We'll get to you here in a second. I'm almost done with the reads, man. I'm burning through here. I'm going to start doing here my top 3 waiver wire targets and things like that. I mean, with Anthony not here, it's guys go a little faster. That guy's a little long-winded sometimes. No, just kidding. He's my boy, man. He's a good guy. So yeah, let's take a look at the top 3 trade targets here that I have in my book. I was actually just wanted to kind of go over some of the guys that I'm looking to buy or buy low on. Really, first guy is Amari Cooper, who's next to opponents, the Washington Commanders and the Eagles, 2 teams who've given up the most and second most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this year. So it's a good opportunity to pick up Amari Cooper. He's been started a slump. I think he could pull out of that. He's been a very solid wide receiver throughout his career. Yeah, and one of the guys that got traded over to the Browns with the Cowboys a couple years back and did pretty well. You also got Jonathan Brooks coming back from IR. He's still on IR, but he can see the practice window open any day. And with Andy Dalton over there taking over as quarterback for the Panthers, it looks like a entirely different offense, different team going on over there. So some guys are actually becoming fantasy relevant. So it's a good idea to go pick up Jonathan Brooks right now. And, in that case, I'll bring up one of the guys selling high on would be Chuba Hubbard because Jonathan Brooks is coming. So I just kind of want to, I know it's kind of moving around a little bit, but you can't mention one without the other because that's what's happening at this point. So that's buy low targets on those 2 guys. in Amari Cooper and Jonathan Brooks. 1 second here, guys. And we got some buy targets here. And these aren't necessarily buy low targets, but just guys I want to have on my team, like Jordan Love with the Green Bay Packers, who has a really good schedule coming up with the Rams, the Cardinals, the Texans, Jaguars, and Lions. And so, Reed and Dontavian Wicks will eat, maybe some Dobbs action in there. I got lucky and picked them up off the waiver wire in one of my leagues. Somebody dropped them because he was injured. So, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. I had Anthony Richardson, who was just throwing up some duds for me. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So I just went ahead and picked up Jordan Love, and he's my starter going forward till further notice, right? So you also got buy targets against Brian Thomas Jr. Wide receivers doing all kinds of stuff over there. He's basically, kind of like not a buy low target. He's basically a buy high, and he can get even higher going up from here. I see his numbers just rising. For a rookie, you expected this to be later on in the season, but he's getting it done right away. He's already 80% and 77% Yahoo. It's pretty much widely owned. His targets have gone up from 4 to 5 to 6. They just keep going. As far as the receptions, the targets are 4 to 9. 86 yards this last game, 1 touchdown. So he's getting there. The next games he's got Indy, Chicago, and New England, and then he finally faces Green Bay. So he's got like 3 good, decent games coming up. So I'd definitely be looking to target Brian Thomas Jr. Who's another target here? We got T. Higgins, with Cincinnati. Obviously, we've seen Cincinnati do some things here over there. They're playing pretty well. The offense is clicking. It's now time to get T. Higgins involved at some point. He did get 10 targets and 6 receptions this last game for 60 yards. Hopefully that balloons a little bit more. He does have a tougher matchup in Baltimore this week coming up. But after that, he gets the Giants and then Cleveland and Philly. And which I mentioned, Philly getting up a lot of yards to wide receivers there. And then Las Vegas after that. So not a bad schedule coming up for him as well. So, I'd be definitely looking for T. Higgins. It's got to get better for him. It's only going to go better for after that. Keep dropping the questions, guys. I do see them. I am marking them. I'll get to them as soon as I'm done with a couple more guys here that we're looking to buy, sell, and trade. And just do some quick reads for you guys on that part of it. I do want to mention some of the most traded guys here is like Garrett Wilson. Again, people are trying to move on him. Hasn't been producing what he could this year. And he still has some name value, so you can possibly move on him. Brandon Ayuk, another name there that's on the most traded list. I had him as a trade option as well. I had picked him up. I bought some shares of the guy. He signed. I was thinking he'd do better by now, but hopefully he gets it turned around soon. Another guy who's been most traded is Travis Kelce. Obviously, a pretty much disappointing this so far this season. He had somewhat of a decent game here after Rashee Rice injury. Mahomes just throwing an interception, throwing a block to try to stop that run back. Next, he takes out his best wide receiver in the team, and Rashee Rice. So, unfortunately, that may benefit Travis Kelce here going forward. At least get more targets and looks, and hopefully, just kind of come back to what he has been in the past, or at least a viable starter from this point going forward is I'd be happy with. Another guy has been on the most traded list, Travis Etienne there. Because you got Tank Bisbee riding up his back here, so most people are trying to sell high on Travis Etienne as much as they can, because Tank Bisbee's just looking more explosive and just eating into his touches as well. You know what I mean? So you got to do something about that guy. Lastly, another guy is on the most traded list is Mark Andrews. I actually seen Mark Andrews get dropped in one of my leagues. Classic Mike picked him up. I just want to mention that, especially I didn't get to talk to Anthony about it. I wanted to bring it up because Classic Mike is on the East Coast and all the rest of us are in the West Coast. So he gets up at 3 hours before we do. Not that he's waking up ready to do anything nefarious in the league, but he does have a 3 hour head start on us. So if you want to get into the waiver wire when somebody's dropping some guys or they're making moves themselves and then dropping the other players, he was able to benefit and pick up Mark Andrews. I'm not sure if it's going to be a benefit yet, But definitely, somebody you want to have because of where he was being drafted. And, really, how much could you really get for the guy? Um, so some of the sell high targets I just mentioned, Travis Etienne. You want to look at him again because Tank Bisbee seems to be eating a lot of his role, and he may even lose the starting job to him. Who knows? But he's just hasn't been catching the ball as much as he did last year. Last year it was a dual running threat and receiving threat, but that's not happening this year. So just a lot of regression for him. Probably possibly do a lot to Tank Bisbee though. Chuba Hubbard, another sell high candidate, has Jonathan Brooks coming. So, as I mentioned here, want to pick up Jonathan Brooks if you can, if he's still out there in the waiver wire for you. Put him in your IR spot until he's ready to go. But Chuba Hubbard, you might want to move on him because Brooks will take over the spot. A guy that I mentioned just a second ago, Garrett Wilson, just not the same. And of course, with the trade rumors, again, we were talking about Devontae Adams here, asking for the trade. But I would sell high on Devontae Adams. I know that somebody here just had a question here. Let me get to that one because we're talking about it here. Jay Will, would you trade Devontae Adams for Devontae Smith? Smith hasn't been doing that well over here this season, but I mean, I think that's a pretty fair trade. And would I do it? Yeah. I think that if Devontae Adams goes to another team, it just historically hasn't been well. It hasn't gone well for the player that's traded. You don't know the playbook. You just these things aren't ready yet for you. The recipe for success is just not there. So I would be moving on Devontae Adams, trading him as high as he can. Obviously, he hasn't been performing very well for the Raiders and the quarterback situation they got over there. So I think if you get Devontae Smith, it's a decent offer. Maybe try to get a higher guy if you can. But, I mean, if that's what you're going to get, I would take my chances on him over Adams at this point. Again, even if he ends up with Aaron Rodgers, that doesn't mean that he's going to all of a sudden be back to his old self and explosive and, being the top wide receiver where he was drafted at. You're just not going to get that value back again. So yeah, at this point, let's go ahead and do the live Q&A part of it here. It's not too deep into the show. But again, there's not too much going on with Anthony here. It's just me holding it down for you guys. So let's see if we could get some questions, live Q&A going on. But before we do that, I do got to mention Trophy Smack, another one of our sponsors here. They do all the swag here. You get the Kirk Cousins chains, you get the custom rings, the belts, and of course the trophies. So check them out at trophysmack.com. Use the promo code GetRight with them as well. Help support the channel. And give them a look. I think that the custom ring, you added just $7 additionally to your league buy-in, and you guys could get a custom ring for the winner. It's not a bad option. We like to have those items. I mean, I know Anthony got some nice bling bling going on, so and it's always like it'd be cool to have all the the rings like Brady does at some point, but they're albeit fantasy rings, right? That's what we got for ourselves here. So, without further ado, let's check out the live Q&A, and go from there. Here, guys. Let me scroll back, take a look at where we're at, and we'll take a look at it here. Hold on a second here. I gotta go back here. Comments here. So Ryan Kennedy came in first here. What up, Ryan? Start 2 flex half point PPR. Tank Dell, Chase Brown, Cortland Sutton, or Rico Dowdle. Tank Dell has not been producing. He is a buy for me. And I think he is on the injury report, as I remember mentioning. He had some a chest, and it was officially limited in practice on Wednesday. So Chase Brown did just get finding some looks. I'd be looking at him. Rico Dowdle is up and coming over there in Dallas. He actually is getting some extra touches over Zeke. So that's good. I'm trying to take a look at Cortland Sutton and see what he's been doing last game. He had 9 targets, 3 receptions, 60 yards, and a TD over there. First one of his season here. He's had 11 targets the last game and 12 targets first game. They're playing Las Vegas next. Ooh, Denver's a tough play against Oakland there. So I'd probably go Cortland Sutton and Chase Brown or Rico Dowdle. It's like I'm toss up about those two guys. But Cortland Sutton, Chase Brown, or Rico Dowdle. Cortland Sutton, Chase Brown. Go with those two guys in your flex point, half PPR. We got Smokey the Cat coming in here. Again, he was, what's up? He's been MIA. But I did want to mention the question he had. He mentioned he traded Moss and Pitts to get Laporta. Thoughts on that? That's not a bad move. Laporta should be doing better. The Lions, should be firing up here. I think they're going to go into this bye week, come back firing up on all cylinders. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad move at all. I think you moved up onto that, especially since you were able to move away from Pitts. That alone is just, I think you're winning already there. Let's take a look at Smoking the Cat. Comes with any moves to the team. It's a 12-team PPR. He's got Allen, Bijan, and Pollard. MHJ here in Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, and Laporta. He's got Godwin. He's on the bench. He's got Higgins, Algier, Buck Irvin, Braylon Allen, Keon Coleman, and Chase Brown. That's a pretty solid team, man. You're starting Bijan and Pollard. Allen's your QB. Allen's been rough. He's got 2 good games, 2 bad games. But you got to keep firing him up because you know what he does for you. Marvin Harrison Jr. just had that one off week the first week, but then has come back since. Neighbors, for whatever reason, is just a beast over there in the Giants. And I would continue firing them up. Again, you just picked up Laporta, so that's good. Godwin's been pretty good over there with Baker Mayfield and Adams over there. You got Higgins. You got on the bench. You got Higgins, so he's doing good. Tyler Algier, Bucky Irvin's up and coming. Braylon Allen over there eating some touches. Also, Keon Coleman's probably the only one that is struggling, and Chase Brown's coming up again right now. Keon Coleman's the one piece that you could kind of move on, but I'm not sure how you can improve too much more on that. I would just kind of hold on as a drop guy for bye weeks and things like that, because you do need a guy that you can move in and out unless all your bye weeks are set up with the guys that you have, because at some point you're going to need another backup quarterback or something like that to start when Allen gets his bye, and so on and so forth. So I would just hold tight with what you got. I don't think you're going to make too many moves. It's a good team right there. Smoke the Cat. We got sports spotlight here. Because I asked in Sleeper, but what's your thoughts? So you didn't put it on Sleeper. Please do check out the link in the description. We have our Sleeper channel. If you got additional questions, there's guys on there all day long. We'll walk you through any questions that you have on your team, and really take your time and hear other people's opinions so you could set your lineups and decide what you guys want to do. So I give AJ Brown for Jalen Reed and Jordan Addison in PPR. I am 2-2. I would do that. The reason I would is because you probably possibly need to just better your position. I don't know who your other wide receivers are though, but AJ Brown is doing pretty good. But you could get Jaden Reed, who's got again mentioned the 4 games he's got coming up with Jordan Love coming back. He's his favorite target, and Jordan Addison, we just seen him blow up this last weekend, and so you're going to be improving your team. You're getting the 2-for-1. I would do it. I think that's a very decent level trade right there. So if anything, you might be coming up a little bit because you get the 2-for-1, and I think Reed will be close to what Brown was producing anyways. So go for it. We got Nino Pena. What's up, man? So we need help with the rest of season question. So we got which side would you prefer? He's got Kelsey, James Cook, Deontay, or Ferguson, Gibbs, and Ayuk. So he's got Kelsey, James Cook. I like James Cook. Deontay Johnson's doing decent now that he's got somebody throwing over there. Or, Jake Ferguson. I'm a Cowboys guy. I like him. He's been doing good. He just came back from his injury. Hopefully, knock on wood, doesn't re-injure himself. Jahmyr Gibbs here. And Brandon Ayuk. Wow. That's so close, man. Kelsey, James Cook, Deontay. I think I'll take the Kelsey, James Cook, and Deontay side. The reason being is, again, Rashee Rice went down. So Kelsey should get some more looks. James Cook's been cooking. And Deontay Johnson, he just got a better QB to be doing better. Ferguson is really nice. And so Jameer Gibbs is basically sharing touches with Demont. And Demont actually has been out touching him. But Gibbs has been keeping up in the touchdown department. So it's kind of hard to say that on that part. So him and Cook are kind of like even. Ayuk is with the one that scares me. He doesn't have any competition. Juwan Johnson came off the bench and just blew him out of the water. So hopefully he can get his ship right. But I would still stay with Kelsey, James Cook, and Deontay. That's my take on that. Just my thoughts. Let's see what you guys go with. We got Joe Kingsley coming in here. Start Najee or Jordan Addison. Like Najee's matchup, but he's on the fence at half point PPR. I'd start Jordan Addison. You're rolling the dice with him. Let's see if he could, have another good game. But we've seen what Najee's done, and it's not been much. So I mean, at this point, you got to roll the dice, I think, and go for the hot hand, and see if he gets some better games ahead of him. I mean, I'm just looking at Najee's numbers here. He had 13 attempts for 19 yards, three receptions out of 6 targets for 54 yards. Yeah, he's been, basically 7.6, 7.5. Let me change this to half point PPR scoring here. Basically an 8 on a weekly basis. So it's kind of like, do you want to, roll the dice with Jordan Addison or get the steady Eddie work, the low end steady Eddie work that Najee's giving you, because he's not even giving you 10 half point PPR points. He's giving you about 8 on average. So, again, I'd roll the dice on Jordan Addison. That's just my feeling on that. Dynasty 39 comes in here. He's talking about, would you trade Dowdle and Ferguson for Dell and Rachaad White? So he's got the 2 Dallas guys, Dowdle and Ferguson, for Tank Dell and Rachaad White. I wouldn't do it for White. White's just on the way out. And I was mentioning him earlier. Again, he's going over Ferguson for Dell. I have Bowers and have AR-15 Gino, Nico, Pittman, Deontay, H.M., Bijan Bowers, McConkley, Wicks, Warren, and Hawkinson on IR. Hawkinson is about to start practicing here pretty soon, so you're going to get another tight end at that point. So, yeah, I'd go ahead and move on Ferguson for Dell. I'd like to be buying Dell. I think you could get him. That's about the right price. You could still fire up Bowers and still end up with Hawkinson here coming back here pretty soon. So I like the second part of the Ferguson for Dell. Or because you got HN and Bijan, Wicks, Warren. Yeah. See if we could get moved Warren or Dowdle. Let's see what you could get for. You could get. I think Ferguson for Dell is pretty much given a pretty good. You're kind of taking a loss of it because Ferguson has been producing pretty decently and should continue to produce pretty decently over there in Dallas. He does like his tight ends over there, Dak. So, but if you have a high opportunity with Dell, and should anything happen to Nico, you definitely have him fired up. And I see that you have Nico, so you're kind of double dipping into that team. So I'm not sure if I even like that move to pick up Dell really. Because you already have Nico Collins. I'm not a fan of having 2 wide receivers on the same team unless they're super, both of them are going off for 1,000 yards, which does happen, but it's not very often that teams have that available. See what it sounds like you're going out after Dell, so I'm not sure if I would do that with Nico there. So, but I do like that you have Hawkinson coming up, so Bowers or Ferguson is the guy you want to be trading away at this time, especially with the tight ends not producing as much as they have. That's a good guy to be, kind of putting it out there and seeing what happens with these guys. Let me get back over here to the chats here. You guys got a couple more coming in. Individual is coming in as I'm looking for a fair trade for a running back. Am I trading away JSN for Nick Chubb? I got to see what he does, man. I'm not sure if you want to go for Chubb just so far. You know what I mean? Like, He's coming back from his injury. Nothing yet so far. You know what I mean? Like, and Jason, I mean, he's basically low producing. Um, what do you have on your team? Like, who's like, that's kind of like one of those questions you got to hit us up on our sleeper channel, so we could kind of really delve into your team and see what your options are and why you're moving on somebody here. Um, I'm looking at Jackson Smith and Jigga. He had one decent game at 17 points, and he got 5 points and 9 points in half point PPR. Pretty disappointing start, but they got the Giants next. But then you have a tough matchup with San Francisco, then Atlanta, Buffalo, and then the Rams. So it's on, off there for the team. So I don't know. It's kind. I'm just. I need to see it from Nick Chubb first. Obviously, coming back from the injury, he's probably going to have a really slow start. So you're not going to have him, and you're not going to be comfortable in your starting lineup right off the bat week one. At least I'm not. So, is it a fair trade? I would say it's a fair trade. I just don't know if I'd want him. It's too early to say. Joe coming in here is running backs are Bijan, Mason, Jacobs, and Ford and Brooks, and Hunt. And he's got wide receivers Evans, Pickens, Wicks, Shakir. Which pieces would you deal with for wide receiver upgrade or just roll with the squad as is? I would move on Ford and Hunt or even Mason because to see what you can get for them because you have plenty of running back room. You obviously got Bijan and Jacobs there, who's pretty good, pretty decent. So you could kind of move on Mason to up your wide receiver room because you did pick up with Dontavian Wicks. Looks like you might have picked him up. Khalil Shakir's doing good. Pickens is the one that's been just not doing so great. So that's who I would move on forward. Is basically, if they were just talking about Hunt, might be losing his job to Hunt, or whatever's going to be happening over there with the Browns. So they're going to be in the timeshare now. So, um, I mean, I'm Brown here. I mean, Kareem Hunt over there in KC. That's what I was thinking. Shoot, I was misquoting which team he's on. And I know Hunt's been a pickup right now recently, so that's what I would move on. As Mason, I think that's your best option. You got some Mason or Ford. You could get some of the guys. You got basically Jonathan Brooks coming back, which should be a starter for you at some point. Bijan, you could keep on in the lineup. Jacobs, you could keep on in the lineup. So I think you could get some good pieces with Mason and Ford. Let's check it out. Roberto Perez here. We're coming up. What up? What up, man? Zach Moss and JMO for Etienne. Or do you think I can get Cook? Zach Moss and JMO for Etienne. I would not be going after Etienne. I would go after Cook. I think you could get Cook with those two guys for sure. JMO's on fire. I'm not sure if I would even trade JMO away. But I wouldn't mind moving on Zach Moss at this point. I think it's a good time to move on him. Over there in Cincinnati, Chase Brown started, reared his head up a little bit. So with that news, I think that they're going to probably maybe start splitting some carries with him. So you're selling high on him. So I would definitely be going after Cook if I could. Shoot it out there, man. The worst thing they could do is just start some trade talks, and you end up with Cook. But Etienne is not the one that I'm going to go after. As I mentioned, if you look back, listen to the talks we had earlier when we were talking about Etienne. Just not being, the guy that he had last year, being a running and catching threat, and you have Tanks Bisbee breathing down his neck, taking some touches away. It's a good time to move on Etienne and not keep him. So go after Cook. We got Samir Reaper 77. I can't read that name. Do I trade for trade off CMC? I would. At this point, see what you can get. I know that people are trying to sink or swim with them. If you could keep him in an IR spot, keep him in the IR spot. It's not going to hurt you if you have an IR spot. However, if you have him in your bench and you can't put him in an IR spot, I would be moving on CMC just to see what you can get. At this point, you're not sure when he's going to be coming back. The news just keeps literally getting worse for him. It doesn't seem like he's going to be back from IR anytime soon. Talking, going overseas, seeing specialists for having tendonitis in both Achilles tendons is kind of crazy. So who knows when he's coming back? So I would try to get as much value out of him as you can right now, because the longer you wait, who knows how long they're going to be out, and then people will be like, well, at that point, it's like, why did you even bother moving him? Because he's probably going to come back at that point. So you want to do it early while you can for some of those guys that are injured right now. Um, So Nino's coming in here saying currently 1-3. Should I be in panic mode or just keep waiting for the roster out? So yeah, sometimes that happens. So he's got Kyler, Cook, B Rob, which I like. I like B Rob. I like Cook. Jettis, Nico McBride, Debo, and Scary Terry. Man, how are you losing? Jettas and Nikos have been tearing it up. Cook has been doing very well. Kyler maybe off and on here. McBride is doing okay for the tight ends that he's got. I think he had finally had a decent game over there. Um, Debo again injured and this and that, and then Scary Terry had a really nice game recently. So he's got the bench. He's got Bucky, Justice Hill, Ty Chandler, Chase Brown, Worthy, Jawan Johnson, or I think that's Jawan Johnson. Wicks he just picked up, and Jonathan Brooks. I think you got to wait it out, man. Don't go in panic mode yet. You got a decent team. You just got to make sure you get the right roster in there. And you got some good guys, like Jonathan Brooks that I was been mentioning. Dontavian Wicks just should be having some decent games moving forward. Christian Watson went down. Worthy should be getting some extra work now that Rice is down. Chase Brown just had his peak into the Cincinnati backfield there, so we seen what he did last year, basically catching the ball out of the backfield and everything else. So you got some good pieces there. If anything, you could start trading maybe some of those pieces to up the people that you are starting, because they got those guys got some value in there. Like I've been mentioning Bucky Irving as well. So you got some good pieces in there. I would not be panicking. You just might be getting the luck of the draw where you're the second highest scoring game of the week and you just happen to hit the guy with the highest scoring. I think that might be happening to you, Nino, because that happens. It's been happening to me. I'm like, I've started 2-0 and then took 2 losses because I hit some guys that basically had their best game ever. 151 points to 120. What are you going to do? And it's averaging like 110 in the league right now. So two good teams, facing each other. That happens. So Jay Will coming in here. Give me 1 second, Jay Will. Any moves on my team here? He's got 12 team, half PPR. Thank you for giving me that info, the background. A lot of guys don't mention that, and it kind of helps get paint a picture of what you got going on. So the team is Hurts, Brees, Montgomery. He's got Pacheco down. Yep. Mostert, Dowdle, Braylon, Devontae, Higgins, McLaurin, Jameson, Wicks, and Ferguson, and Goddard. So he's got 12 team. Any moves? Devontae, man. He's the hot hand to be moving on. He probably hadn't been doing anything for you. You can move on him at this point to see who you can pick up and improve your wide receivers. I think you're okay at running back with Brees and Montgomery. And you got actually you probably need to back up the running back game. Braylon Allen is nice. I like him. Rico Dowdle's been I like him. He's getting more of the touches over there, but I am starting to get worried about maybe Dalvin Cook coming in and started stealing some looks. But at least he's took the lead away from Zeke. Mostert just again injured, just a piece sitting there. Can't trade him away. He's not worth any value at this time. So Devontae Adams is the guy you need to move on. Higgins, I've been buying. McLaurin's been doing good. Jameson has been on fire. Wicks just coming back. Ferguson's been doing decent, and so has Goddard. So Devontae Adams, the one you need to be moving on to see if you could improve your team one way or another. Shop them around and see what you can get. Maybe help your wide receivers or running back core, especially since you lost Pacheco. So maybe you want to, look at another guy there. Maybe even get a 2-for-1 with, maybe Dowdle and and Devontae. You know, shoot for JJ or something. See what we can get. Um, Maybe even just go trade for Jordan Addison. See what happens. Um, Sober money's coming in here. Would you trade Ayuk and Pollard and Polk for Rice? Dynasty. Oh, it's a dynasty question. PPR at that. And he's trading Ayuk, Pollard, and Jalen Polk. I think that's a bit much just for one guy. Ayuk just signed. I know he's doing terrible, but you are talking dynasty. So he's not always going to be terrible, and you're going to have him for a lot longer. Um, Pollard's been doing decent. Polk is basically non-existent at this point right now. But he could be something in the future because, again, this is dynasty that you're talking about. I think it's just a bit much with both Pollard and Ayuk. Polk doesn't have any standalone value. It's still yet even in dynasty leagues. I think you maybe shoot a Ayuk and Pollard for Rice and see what they say. It is dynasty. Start the trade talk there, and you might be able to just get them for two guys. This is no Jason and Nick Chubb. Yep. Jason and Nick Chubb, individual. And so we got Andre here. How do you see the game going tomorrow? Are you expecting a big game from? Let's take a look. Let me go back to the Thursday night preview here that we had. I just kind of read off some of the guys. Let's see if Bucky Irving does something over there. I think Darnell Mooney is who I think I'll see a big game from. But Baker Mayfield's been firing on all cylinders with Evans and Godwin. I think those guys will be doing well, and as well as Bijan. So I think Darnell Mooney is another guy that you got to keep an eye on over there. He's been coming up. Let's see, Augustine. Let's see here is my Augustine Krishna's. My running backs are Augusto. I'm sorry, not Augustine. My running backs are Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins, Hunt, and my receivers are London, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, and my tight ends are Bowers. Would you do London, Deontay Johnson, or Godwin for Tyreek? He only wants one. I would send him Deontay Johnson. London's been producing really well. Godwin's over there with Tampa Bay. If he only wants one, I would send Deontay Johnson because he was doing good just because of the quarterback change. And who knows how long that's going to last and how long that's going to keep up. So I'd sell high Deontay Johnson to pick up Tyreek. Why not? Let's see what happens with them. It is a risk taking Tyreek, but hopefully if Tua comes back, he should be better. And I think they're even in for another quarterback change. So let's see what happens with that. And he's even asking, how the hell are you 1-3? Again, I thought he was hitting some of those guys that are the top guys in the league. It kind of happens. And he's just traded Nico for McBride last week. And McBride was out, so cooked me on another week. Yeah, that happens. You got to be careful. And you're trading Nico for McBride. That's kind of paying high. Nico's balling out. Like I'm not sure if I would have traded Nico at all, especially not for a tight end. So not sure if you did yourself right there. So Clinton says, how many handoff backups are too many to own in 12 team? Have Rico, Tank, Braylon, Bucky, J Hill, and Sermon, and Brooks on IR. Brooks is definitely somebody you want to keep. Rico Dowdle is like a flex start at right now until he shows further. Tank has been doing some things over there. Bucky is actually kind of startable. Braylon Allen's almost kind of startable because he's taking so much work from Brees. So Jay Hill got some, and Sermon. Those are kind of like the low end guys that you could just kind of move on or keep. Justin Hill had some kind of spot starts, but he's not ever taken Hunter Henry's job. And Trey Sermon's just basically back up over their 49ers or whatever. So I would. Those are the guys that would be moving that. Actually, at Indy, I'm sorry. I was thinking 49ers for whatever reason. I hadn't even look it up right now because I know that JT was banged up a little bit. But it's not bad a deal to have those handcuffs because as soon as those starters go down, you have a viable starter in your lineup, basically ready to go. I like Braylon Allen a lot. Bucky Irvin should be coming up some, and Brooks as well. So maybe you can move on the other guys and see what happens with those. Uh, let's see. Let me get to the questions here. And the lineup, maybe that's better. Andrews, Devontae, James Cook, Connor for them too. So Nico's just discussing his team. Yeah, Nico McBride in the lineup definitely got me feeling better. I gave up Andrews, Devontae, and James Conner for them too. Oh, okay. So you got Nico and McBride. Okay. In that case, it's much better. Although McBride hurt you, but he should be better. Let's see how he goes. Is Henry a sell high? No. Henry's a keep him. Keep Henry. Ride him till the wheels fall off. I'm not selling him. Um, Henry or Gibbs full PPR? Henry all day. Gibbs is sharing with Demont. That's what I've said. Um, so now we got start Garrett Wilson or Brian Thomas Jr. this week. BTA has an amazing matchup. I don't know what to do. I'm starting Brian Thomas Jr. I have him. I've put him in my lineup over uh, a couple of guys basically in there. Brandon Ayuk, to name one. I put him in over. Who else did I have on that team? I forgot. But Brandon Ayuk is basically who I'm replacing him for. So when you start Garrett Wilson or BTA, I'm telling you, Brian Thomas Jr. He's not fired. I would keep looking at him. And then especially seeing Garrett Wilson openly complaining about his OC Hackett is terrible. Yeah, and that's another terrible move that wide receivers do. They're being divas and whatnot. So it's kind of tough at that point. So we got Jay Hound 20 here. Would you start Baker or Fields this week? I'd start Baker, no problem. Uh, yeah, that's a no brainer. Maestro's coming in here. Do you think Ayuk's performance will improve this season? I hope so, man. I got plenty of shares of Ayuk. I got him in best ball, and they paid him plenty. But obviously he's been disappointing. I can't believe that Jawan Johnson just comes off the bench and just destroys him. He's not doing anything, but he's got to turn it around. Yeah, he's been very disappointing. So at this point, I'm benching him, but I'm just not moving on from him yet. And if I could get a trade off for him, I would trade him. I'm not sure how much you're going to get because it's a low sell right now. You want Ayuk to have that big game and maybe move off of him if you're done with him. But at some point, it's I mean, we're week 5 now. He's got to start producing something, and things are not in his way. Like has the opportunity to be like the number one guy over there right now. Period, and just has not taken the reins. So nothing personal coming in here. Would you trade away Pitts for Rico Dowdle? I can't just drop Pitts. Hell yeah, trade Pitts for Dowdle. If you can, I would. Dowdle. Pitts is a droppable for me, man. You got suckered into him one more year. I know that everybody wanted to see him. They had a different coordinator over here, different offense happening. All these things were pointing to him finally having a good season, and wah all over again. I just don't think the guy got it. At least he doesn't have it for the NFL. And that just happens. It happens to a lot of guys. They're good in college, but they come to the NFL and just can't cut the mustard, just can't get it, at least to the level that they were at in college. So they look good. So if you could get Rico Dowdle, why not do that? Jay Will, last question I'm taking for the night. Already an hour into the show here. So thank you all guys for joining me here tonight. But Jay Will, we got a 10-team full PPR looking to upgrade running backs from a 10. Who are some running back fair targets if you package a 10 and Jordan Love or a 10 and Odunze? Ooh, I think a 10 and Odunze would be a package. That's who you should be looking at. Who's some good guys? Let me think of here as far as running backs that I would be trying to target. Well, maybe Brees Hall. People maybe be disillusioned with him. He's not doing so well. I gotta look at the teams here that we got set up here. Let me get back to you. Let me think about that for a second here on that. Because I'm trying to look at the most traded guys here to give you some options of who's actually being moved and some guys that you could actually get for. Because we're trying to target guys like Brian Thomas Jr. here. And I think Brees Hall would be a good trade to Brian Robinson Jr. He was injured, but he should be fine. So you can move up to him. I don't think you'll get guys like Bijan or Walker or Kamara. They're just too high up there. But with those two guys, I think you can move up to either James Cook maybe on that front. But again, Brees Hall, because he has been underperforming, is one of the guys that you can probably reach out for and see what you can get on that front. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. We're about an hour in. All right, well, you guys keep coming here. Walter Smith here. A guy offered me Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry for Mark Andrews. Do I accept that? Thoughts? Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry for Mark Andrews. Why would he not take that all day? Yeah, why would you not get Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry? That's like a ripoff. That's like a fake trade. I'm not sure somebody's actually offering you that. That's kind of weird. I've never done this one before. So Daniel Sullivan says, "Hey, can you shout out my buddy? It's his birthday. His name's Ben Miller. Hey, well, happy birthday, Ben. Hopefully you're watching the show. Thank you for supporting us. First shout out like that for a happy birthday. Why not? Let's do it. With that note, thank you again, guys, for being here on the show with me tonight. Anthony will be back again Monday with us. And so, at this point, do check out our guys here at the fantasy lineups that we have with Kendall and with the Fantasy Football Tavern. So if you're looking to enjoy some hot takes and cold beers, be sure to subscribe to Kendall's channel, the Fantasy Football Tavern. The link's in the description. Phil Ruskin also with the extra point. So everyone likes scoring touchdowns, but you got to come out and get the extra point. So tune into the extra point with Phil Ruskin's live on Thursdays. With that said, come check out our show. Give us some love, give some likes and subscribes, and we'll be back next week. Checking you guys out. See what happens, with you guys here. Let us know how you end up during the week. Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up.